Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's lecture in English 111 College Rhetoric. This week we're going to be discussing a few things. First, we're going to be discussing the development of a research process, finding sources, and of course collecting evidence. So you're going to want to think about how you're going to start your research for our final presentations and papers. It's important to know that research allows you to systematically explore a topic by collecting factual evidence. Research also allows you to do three important things in college and the workplace. The first one is that research allows you to inquire. This has you gathering evidence to investigate an issue and explain it to others. The second one is to acquire knowledge. You can collect and analyze facts to increase or strengthen your knowledge and possibly add to already existing information. And finally, research allows you to support an argument. You can use research to persuade others and support a particular side of an argument while gaining a full understanding of opposing views. So starting the process. Good research is recursive. That is, it allows you to collect evidence and repeatedly test it against your own working thesis. It allows you to define your research question. This identifies specifically what you want to discover about your topic. Then you'll want to develop a working thesis. This is also called a hypothesis. What is your best guess at this moment about how to answer your research question? And finally, you'll want to devise a research plan. This allows you to describe the kinds of evidence you'll need, including sources, to describe how you are going to collect the evidence. Like anything in life, developing a good plan keeps you on track. So you'll first want to devise a research question, then you'll want to come up with a working thesis, then a description of available sources about the topic. Next you'll put together a schedule for conducting and completing your research, and then you'll put together a bibliography. Remember that developing a plan will save you time by streamlining your research. First, you'll want to do a little background research. First, you'll want to search the internet. I recommend using Google Scholar for all academic-related searchers. Then you'll want to look through online encyclopedias. Search our library's catalog, and of course, always talk to a librarian. Doing this startup research will allow you to get a good handle on the background information and how other people are talking about your specific topic. It's important to note in any research process that you will at some point in time have to modify. It is a process of inquiry, so you'll want to expect that you are going to have to do this at some point during the process. Roadblocks may occur. For example, a book you want may be checked out already out of the library. And of course also, that evidence and ideas may cause you to change your working thesis. Don't let this discourage you. Rather, go with it. Remember, it is ethical and imperative that as a good researcher, you allow yourself to have an open enough mind to change your working thesis or your hypothesis. So now that you've developed a research plan, what comes next? Well, we're going to want to evaluate the sources that we gather. And sources come in two different forms. First one is a primary source. These are actual records or artifacts, such as letters, photographs, videos, memoirs, books, or personal papers created by the people involved in the issues and/or events that you're researching. These can also include data, observations, or interview answers that you or others have collected from empirical methods. The second form that evidence takes are secondary sources. These are writings of scholars, experts, and other knowledgeable people who have studied your topic. Scholarly materials include books and peer-reviewed academic journal articles. Other secondary sources include magazines, newspapers, and blogs. And for our academic purposes, these kinds of secondary sources are not necessarily scholarly or very helpful to what we will be inquiring about. You of course want to evaluate your resources for reliability. You want a good balance between primary and secondary sources, with an emphasis on scholarly resources. Remember, you are scholars in training after all, so you should get a handle on this particular method of doing research. To be ethical, you want to collect evidence from a variety of sources that offer a variety of perspectives. Limiting your sources to one particular type may limit or offer an inaccurate understanding of your topic. So of course we know that there are many different types of sources. The first one is electronic, and this is probably the one we are most used to in our everyday lives. These electronic sources include websites, podcasts, videos, DVDs, listservs, television, radio, and of course blogs. Print sources include books, journals, magazines, newspapers, government publications, reference materials, and the microform or microfiche. Then there are also empirical sources. These are personal experiences, archives, field observations, interviews, surveys, case studies, and of course experiments. Now, when you evaluate your sources, you want to consider what is called a triangulation effect. Here we have you in the center of the triangle, and you'll see these three main forms of sources. So how does triangulation work? Well, it works by judging the reliability of your particular sources. Your source is probably reliable if you collect similar evidence from all three kinds of sources. The evidence you found, again, is probably reliable if it can be verified in more than one place. It's somewhat reliable if you gather comparable evidence from only 2 points on your triangle. It's probably unreliable if you can only find evidence from 1 point of the triangle. This might indicate that you need to go back and do more research to back up your argument. How do you find electronic or online sources? Again, the first method that we're probably most used to is using search engines. You want to be as specific and exact with your words when entering them in the search box. Again, as I mentioned before, I highly recommend Google Scholar as the search engine for school-related research. If you want to find a specific phrase, use quotation marks when typing in that phrase. Use the plus sign when you only want that exact word found in your search. Use the minus sign when you want to eliminate words from your search. Use wildcard symbols when you don't know the exact phrase you're looking for. You'll want to see page 443 for specific examples on how to use these particular symbols in your search. Now, of course, you also want to consider when using the internet that most of what is on it is really just opinions and hearsay. Many quotes are taken out of their original context. You always want to go back to that triangulation reliability test. Again, most of the stuff on the internet is not reliable, so do not do the bulk of your research just by Googling something. When you are looking at your sources, there are several important questions that you'll want to ask from each of them to, again, help verify their credibility in your project. Can you identify and verify the authors of the source? What organization is this author or source associated with, and why is it publishing this information? What does the author or organization have to gain from publishing this information? Does the source clearly distinguish between opinions and independent facts? Does the source fairly discuss 2 or more sides of the issue? Does the source use other independent sources to back up claims, and can you access those sources? Does the information seem far-fetched, too terrible, or too good to be true? It probably is then. Has the website been updated recently? Oh, finding print sources. Again, I can't emphasize enough in your research process that you talk to librarians. They, of course, know all about the library's holdings and catalogs and have years of experience helping researchers. Now, using the university's catalog, you can find a wealth of electronic and print sources. Books are often the most reliable form of information on your topic. They've been carefully researched and gone through a rigorous editing process. They can also become quickly outdated, though, in fast-paced fields like medicine. So a good rule of thumb is that a book really should be no more than 5 to 7 years old, and it usually is only that to be current in most fields. Academic journal articles are mostly electronic now, but some paper copies still exist. But these are really the bread and butter of your research. They're the most reliable form of sources because they're most frequently updated, and also the most credentialed individuals in their fields are publishing in these peer-reviewed journals. Other publications, such as government publications and reference materials like encyclopedias, are good for getting background information, but they aren't really considered scholarly materials. So I would shy away from those in terms of using them as any kind of backbone to your research. Rather, they should just be glanced at casually to help you get a handle on how your topic is being discussed. So there is no password this week for the reading response, so you can complete that at any time. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Otherwise, I look forward to looking at your presentations, which you're supposed to post by 11:59 p.m. on August 9th. So I will see you guys out there in cyberspace. Have a great week.